Hello, friends who are interested in the dark moon and the new moon and the energies. I'm very excited to be back with you today. I am filming this a little bit late. My apologies, because I know it is coming out about 4.5 days before the new moon, dark moon cycle. So I will tell you a little bit about it, and then we will get right into the reading. Fall is coming. It's almost here, and that is exciting. The energies this month are coming into Virgo. So we're coming into the month of Virgo. The new moon is September 14th at 9:40 p.m. And I will post all this in one of the beginning slides as well. The energies, we're coming out of retrograde for both Venus and Mercury, which is such a relief. And the energies that are also playing with us this month are Scorpio and Taurus. That means that we are full speed ahead, and we're going to be working on accomplishing goals that may have been on hold, or things that are in need of review and reflection, and maybe coming into something different for us. So on top of that, we are entering the dark half of the year for those of you that follow the cycle of the seasons, which means that we are about to end one dark moon cycle and jump into the next dark moon cycle. So typically that happens in October because it is the beginning of the witch's new year, and it's a great time to really delve deep into that underworld and come up to yes, I said delve deep into the underworld, and come back for a new course of shadow work and finding and releasing those blockages in your life so that you can live your truest, most authentic self. So with that, I won't go on too much longer. It is the harvest and the leaf moon, as well as the corn moon, depending on what you like. And yeah, I think that's like the quick sum of. I'll have more for you when things go on. You know me, I'm not going to read the reversals as reversals unless that's how they feel, so I'm just going to flip these over. It's entirely possible that I flipped my entire deck over when I was shuffling. That's the thing about reversals. All right. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Look at some of these things. So we have some of those same energies coming up for us again as we have had in previous readings, but I love to see how they move around in the cycle and how they go into, like the next thing or the next thing, depending on, where we are. I also have the Oracle of the Dragon Fae with me today because those cards wanted to come out and play. So we're going to use those as well to help us clarify some of this information. I just want to move these around a little bit so that you can get a clear view. I'm trying a different camera angle today, so if you like this better, let me know. I do keep playing with it to try to figure things out. So this really, is supposed to represent a star, but as you know, my cards are rather large and I have a very limited space, so it's a little bit more narrow. All right, with that, let's get going. So in the center, we have the Four of Pentacles. This is a word of caution. I feel like the initial energies of placement, so placement being yourself kind of in the situation, and then we'll work our way around through the elements and see how the elements are being affected. So this is telling us really about the fact that you have been sort of closed off, or maybe don't want to share or are concerned you've been hurt in the past and it's hard for you to open up. So you're sort of taking things and, bringing them close together and holding them tightly to your chest. You don't really want to let people in and let people see both the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that is a cautionary tale, because if we create these barriers and these boundaries for ourselves, that also means that we're not open to letting in those positive energies and those positive experiences. So my word of caution to you is, if this is where you feel like you are right now, or you resonate with this reading already, you do want to consider that you may be the cause of your own demise, so to speak, in relationships ending and or situations not playing out the way you want them to. So we have to be honest with ourselves first, and then we have to be honest with other people and really get a clear idea of how our feelings play out in the situation and how that affects us. So keeping that in mind, let's take a look at what everything, what other things have to offer for us. Okay, so we move over here to Justice. So this just furthers kind of what I was already saying. So Justice is a card that talks to us about finding balance in our life as well as finding balance in our situation. Understanding that wisdom cannot come without some sacrifices, but also that we have to weigh, right? Sometimes we are our own worst enemy, or we are our own self-fulfilling prophecy. We have to think about, are we hearing the wisdom, or do we know the wisdom but we're not using the wisdom? What is happening in the situation that is causing the situation to sort of fail? I'm also really drawn to Spider in this cautionary tale. And Spider is about creativity, right? So about creativity, and also again about wisdom and understanding really the greater picture, the bigger cosmos, not just the microcosm, but the macrocosm. So I believe that what we're really looking at is, now that the energies are clearing up and straightening out and sort of becoming less tumultuous, I think is the word I want, that the caution here is to be aware, right? Be aware that you either have around you or you have within you the information and the knowledge that you need in order to make good balanced choices and work towards your higher self. But in order to do that, we need to look at all, right? We need to look at all the different pieces and not just how we feel in a situation, or just not just what our perception is. So be cautious not to just get to that point where you're only looking at a narrow focus. If there's people in your life that keep telling you the same things, or you keep hearing the same messages, that is divine power telling you that you need to pay attention, heed or listen to things, right? And that may be coming from different people in different places. So that's that whole microcosm working on the macrocosm, or rather macrocosm working on the microcosm. I got that one completely backwards. So again, thinking about that, right? So those energies are really, really strong this month. That's really powerful. What it's telling me is that as we move forward right into the Six of Swords, you are looking at a situation where there is the potential for movement. There's the potential for change in a positive way. You're moving towards a new direction, but you can only do that if you're really clear. So getting clear this month. So focusing your energies as you're working through this new moon, dark moon cycle to really think about and cut away, right, all the noise. Cut away all the noise and figure out, get clear about where you're traveling to or what you need or want to do next. And I think that is also mimicked in the astrology this month. And I know I alluded to that a minute ago, where we sort of, it's like gears. Think about it like gears, and the gears have sort of been stuck, where it's like tick, tick, tick. And now we're pushing forward. So it's actually like the gears have loosened up and they're now moving correctly again. They've gotten some grease or oil, and now, they're tick, 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 right? We're moving forward. So consider that as you're moving, because that's the energy, that's the underlying stability, right, of this. It also speaks to us about learning something new. So that says to me that you may be in a situation where you're presented with a new opportunity or a new way of thinking, or maybe you're choosing to take a course or something in your life that you've decided is helping to fulfill that lacking place. Keep in mind that you can't take in that knowledge and that information if you're not open to it, right? So understanding that wisdom can be there, but it's what we do with it, right? It's how we move it forward. That brings us over here to this side, and we're going into the Princess of Pentacles. Oftentimes this is the page in other decks. I apologize because she's a little bit out of focus, and I don't know why. I'm going to try to fix that. Let's see. Okay. Without moving the camera too terribly much. Sorry about that. Okay, so the princess oftentimes is the page. She is still learning. The Princess of Pentacles really is about consideration. Really, it's showing us that we need to reflect and understand, what is our part in the situation? What is the universe bringing to us for energies? And why, right? Why is that necessary? This does relate back to very concrete things because we are looking at the pentacles. So it's talking to us about our physical world around us. That is why I keep going back to the idea of situations, right? I feel like this could be represented in your career. It could also be represented in your interpersonal relationships right now, whether those are partnerships, whether it's your spouse, whether it is your close friendships that are around you. You're really taking stock and reconsidering what you need in your life, what you don't need in your life, right? Do you have enough of things? Is where you're living a place that you really speaks to that growth and movement, right? These are all considerations and reflections that I think are going to be important, and they make sense, right? Because we're coming to the end of a dark moon cycle. We're going to start a new dark moon cycle at the end of October, or roughly the end of October. And so we need to figure out what has been successful in this cycle. What have we done so far this year that has really been successful for us? And what have we done that has not been so successful? Or what are relationships and maybe career that has not been fruitful the way we thought it would? So taking those things into stock and figuring out and, sort of inventorying our lives and figuring out what to cut away and what to keep at this point in time is completely reasonable for the time of year. And it's also completely reasonable when we look at what we have, right? So understanding and wisdom, and then that movement. Where do I want to go next? What skills do I want to focus on? What shadow work might be looming for me in this next cycle and in this next year, right? My shadow work personally changes every single year, because every single year I'm in a different place, right? And I'm doing different things and I'm choosing different things. So that is true for most people. It may not go as deep some years. It may be really deep other years. It just depends. And so you have to think about that and take stock for yourself about that and where you are. This brings us over to the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords, it's about decisions, right? It's clear. You have multiple paths, but you have to decide what is the most important thing for you. There is no right or wrong answer here, but one of those paths will bring you closer to your power, your personal highest self, right? And your biggest successes. The other path, it might get you to the same place, but it might be a lot more difficult, and or it might mislead you, right? It may lead you down an illusionary path for a while, and you may have to work your way back to that other path. They may intersect at some point, but one way is a really long way and one way is a more direct way. And you have to choose for yourself. There is, again, no right or wrong answer. What do you need to learn? So I think that is asking us to really consider, right? Once again, we're wrapping a cycle and coming around to a new cycle. So it makes sense that, the universe is really asking us to look at the energies this month and then make some decisions about what is the most important thing for us moving forward. Right? Where are we going? That brings us to our final card, which is the Wheel. The Wheel is really about reinventing and understanding. So what she is doing is taking in everything that she has learned and putting all of those skills to use to produce something new, right? And so again, it's a culmination. So this whole reading is very indicative of what I would expect to kind of see at the end of a cycle. So she's, taking all of the stock that she has looked at, understanding, getting clear about where she's going, and also letting go of those boundaries, right? And she's creating new boundaries. She's deciding what she's going to keep in and what she's going to let go of, but she's not locking things away. Instead, she's in a very open space, right? And she's presenting all of her knowledge and her experience. So what that says to me is I feel like people around you are going to notice and see at the end of this cycle how much you have worked on or changed some pattern in your life this year. And that is a beautiful thing because that offers us an opportunity to really feel validated and feel as though we are noticed and acknowledged for our skills and experience. That's a beautiful thing because it's really showing us that this cycle in overall, whatever it is that you've been working on and whatever it is that you've been delving into has been successful for you. Meaning that cycle does not have to necessarily repeat. We don't have the Tower here. We don't have the Devil card here. We don't have something that says to us, you looked at it, but you didn't quite get there. Instead, we have the wheel, and the wheel is really talking about understanding those cycles, understanding those patterns, understanding the ebb and flow of energy and how it's part of our evolution, right? To making, bringing us again, always closer to our higher self, closer to freeing up those energies that really align us to our purpose while we are here on Earth. So, with that, we're going to take, I'm not going to actually pull any other cards because I think that was really very clear. I am going to pull some cards from the Dragon Oracle deck because I wanted to see the overall energy of the reading and give you a little more insight if you need it. And then we're going to close this reading off. But I'm really excited. So I'm excited for two things. One being that this really points to a lot of positives for this past dark moon working year, and gives you a little more clarity, I feel like, on what are your next steps, right? How do we tackle those next steps? But the other thing I think that is great about this is that it really highlights both the highs and the lows that you may have experienced in this past year. All right, let's see what we get for cards here. Oh, how about that? The new moon is just so appropriate. So we have Fernia, and she represents clarity. So our clarity of purpose, we talked about that. We have the new moon Fae, right? And this is talking about soul scrying, which I think writes itself right back to that understanding of taking stock and figuring out what we need. And then it closes off with the Dragon Fae of rebirth. So being whole again, being complete, right? Not leaving ourselves in that place of the Four of Pentacles. So that is a beautiful end, I feel like, to our beautiful reading. I hope you are all having an amazing first, week or two of fall. I know it has been super hot here in New England. I'm hoping that we're going to get that crisp air pretty soon. If you have enjoyed these readings, do please give me some likes and subscribes and comments and share with your friends, because that helps me to know that I'm on the right track and that I'm also growing. And then, hopefully we'll get to continue to do this in the following year, in the following cycle. Those of you that follow the dark moon cycle and or the dark half of the year, I wish you many, many blessings coming up in this dark moon and dark half of the year. It is one of my favorite times of year. And I will see you all next month in October. Bye for now.